Hello, this is wmpyr here to discuss with you some philosophy, I guess martial arts philosophy. Basically, last night I saw an excellent documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And it was a documentary about a sushi chef over in Japan, and they say he is one of the greatest sushi chefs of all time. It's an amazing documentary. I highly recommend it. And to me, it was very, very interesting because one of the things that they said was that in order to become a master chef, one of the things that's necessary is basically you need to be extremely stubborn so that you're just have like this meticulous detail, attention to detail, that you are a perfectionist, that you are absolutely devoted and disciplined towards that stuff. And then number two is what I thought was very interesting was rebelliousness, and basically, even though what he makes looks very traditional, apparently because of his rebellious nature, which he said that even when he was a kid that he was a troublemaker, um, that he broke free from the traditional ways of making sushi, and he was constantly thinking, how can I improve this? So he evolved his own methods. So he was completely went against what was taught to him, and made his own rules and stuff, So I thought that was very, very interesting. It's extremely admirable and awe-inspiring, just watching the documentary and seeing how awesome this guy is at his craft, how dedicated he is at his craft, and how far he took it. It's just unbelievable to see that, and it's very inspiring, But at the same time, there is a contradiction going on there. Okay, this guy is rebellious, but he follows his rules to the T. So he's completely devoted and follows rules, all right? But he's very rebellious. So that's a total contradiction going on there, okay? And, I think anytime you have a contradiction like that, okay, like the sun, the moon, yin and yang, black and white, when you have these kinds of contradictions, I think you hear about that it's important to make it balanced, right? So if you run a lot, you do a lot of physical activity, then you should balance that with some mental activity. So if you do 3 hours of running, you should do 3 hours of using your brain, thinking and stuff. So the balance aspect is very, very important, I feel like. It has to be in harmony. They can't contradict each other, because if they do contradict each other, then you're going to be like, well, I want to do this physical exercise, but if I sit around and read, then I don't have the time to exercise. Then that's in contradiction. So you have to make them become in harmony. So you probably have to manage your time better. So it's not just about doing one activity and then doing the other activity equally. It's also about making them balance, because if not, you're not going to last long. There's going to be problems like this is just not realistic in my lifestyle or whatever. So they have to be balanced. They have to make sense in your brain. Okay. So anyway, for this guy, I feel that it makes perfect sense. The problem is they also kind of like talked about it in the documentary. Is another sushi chef who used to study under him and now broke off and has his own restaurant and stuff. The guy said that he felt kind of like sorry for the son, the son of this great sushi chef master. And I completely agree. When you have a great dad, the sons a lot of time I think they struggle. Look at Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was also a rebel. I'm sure he was extremely stubborn. His work ethic is just unbelievable, just like this guy. And that rebelliousness, that he went against the conventional ways of thinking, is what made him stand out and appeal to so many of us. We were like, yeah, I can agree with this guy. I can relate to what he's saying. It's more about the individual, not about conforming. That's very cool. Or so being see, Bruce Lee definitely had both of those qualities. Great martial artist, and then I'm sure it was very, very difficult for Brandon Lee. The expectations. I think in an interview, I remember him saying that he was kicked out of many, many schools when he was younger. I can imagine. It must have been very angry and frustrating and all that. The expectations, and at the same time, Dad, where are you? I'm sure he had a lot of problems like that. So anyway, I kind of feel the same thing with this sushi chef's the master's son. That this guy is going through a lot of trouble as well. Because in his case, I kind of feel like the whole contradiction dynamic going on, his is not imbalanced, because his main problem, I feel, is that, okay, the dad followed rules to the T, but at the same time, the dad also got to be rebellious. So it worked out for him. That completely worked out. So he's making the rules, but he could also break the rules, as he sees fit. So that works out for the dad. The son, on the other hand, follows the rules, and the dad even said, yes, I've been extra hard on my sons to make sure that they're quality people. And I think the son is fantastic because he seems very, very appreciative of his dad and the dad's legacy, And I think that's awesome. That is very respectful guy and very awesome. But at the same time, where is his rebelliousness? Where is he able to let that out? And the guy even said his dream as a kid was he wanted to be a Formula One racer. That's almost like a Formula One racer with being into speed, and it's kind of like almost sounds like a cry of help for freedom. I just want to drive away. I want to be free. I want to go as fast as I can. So he, I think, wants to express himself in his own way, but in a way he can't. So I definitely was amazed by the dad, felt sorry for the son. At the same time, the son gets this awesome legacy, and I think it's important that he remains respectful and grateful for inheriting that. And I definitely think that he has shown that. But he's 50 years old, and the dad's still working, and at the time, and it just seemed pretty rough there. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is kind of along the same lines of, okay, so the dad being rebellious, and over the years of just consistently going to work, consistently thinking about how can I make sushi to the next level, he created his own path. He created his own method, his own rules, principles. He has his own ideology. All right. There's other people in the world that have this too. There are other people in the world that created their own methods and stuff. What do you do when you encounter someone else who has a different method and you clash with them? Because there's going to be people that you're going to clash with. What do you do? And I think in martial arts, what happens is we fight. I think not just in martial arts, in a lot of things in life, when you bump heads with people, you fight. It's principles versus principles. My principles, my ideas versus yours. If I win, then I'm right and you're wrong. And through martial arts, I've kind of come to realize that A, you don't always win. All right, you don't always win. And then B, not the best person always wins. And just because you win doesn't mean you're right either. And the other thing I've kind of noticed that if you keep fighting, you're going to wear yourself thin. You just cannot physically handle that. You can't keep fighting like that. If you do, either I don't know, your body's just going to break down. You just can't do that. So there's only a limited number of fights in you. And I kind of feel like when you do encounter someone with different principles, all right, for me, the best thing that I've noticed, because watching other people fight and watching those results and stuff and studying fights, all right, I kind of feel like, the truth is essentially, it's not necessarily about who's right or wrong. the world is huge. It has room for everybody's rights and everybody's wrongs. It has room for all of that. They all exist. I kind of feel like then the person who benefits the most, the winner here, is the person that basically, instead of fighting the other person, why don't we train together? Why don't we share our ideas together? And why don't we try to, improve together? I think that is the better way. And, I try to would like to do that in real life as well. So when you get into an argument with someone and you go, your principles are wrong, instead of fighting like that, would like to, share perspectives and be like, okay, so this is your way of thinking, this is my way of thinking. So for this type of situation, just from an objective point of view, let's try to figure out what is the best way to clear this, or or a way that would make you feel fine and I'll be fine too, and yet still we could solve the situation. To talk like that, and to try to figure things out that way, I think is the higher ground. I really do, because like I said, through tons of fights, you can watch tons of MMA fights, boxing, kickboxing, judo, wrestling, all of that stuff. I mean, it's there for you to see that, no one's undefeated. There is no one truth in it. Like just when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu first came out, it was like, okay, ground fighting is the best, or submissions is the best. And then wrestlers came out and they were like, well, you don't necessarily need to know submissions. You just need to be really, really fit. And they were saying, like, at first when Royce Gracie won the UFC, it was like, size doesn't make a difference. Well, then we saw Dan Severn come in, and it was like, yes, size does make a difference. Being athletic, a big old wrestler that can strike, that's awesome. Mark Coleman backed that up. Then we got guys like, Don Fry, Marco Huas, guys that are cross-trained and they can strike. And then right when they were saying stuff like high kicks don't work, we had Maurice Smith come in and shock the world. And, we got unorthodox fighters like John Jones throwing in all kinds of spin kicks, crazy, jumping moves and stuff like that. I mean, there is no defined, you know what I mean? It constantly changes, constantly evolves and stuff, So there's been guys that have come into the UFC. Carol Parisian shown that judo does work. Ronda Rousey, is a judo expert doing some, incredible stuff. So, just when you think that one method is obsolete or whatever, it evolves and then it adapts, and then you can be impressed, and it can make you eat your own words, basically. So, I think the important thing is not to have a big mouth like that, and say stuff like that, like this doesn't work, or this style is useless in a real fight, or not say stuff like that, and instead share ideas, and grow together. I think is what I'm trying to say here. So anyway, thank you for listening to my babble, and go have a great day, folks.